What's good, fam? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about vision boarding. It's something I've been talking about doing for a few months at this point, but I've been putting on the back burner, and now that we are all sheltering in our houses, there's no more excuses for me to dive deep into this. I think it's especially important for me at this point because I am in my third year of my program, headed into my fourth year, and really this is kind of the time where we have to start thinking about fellowships, jobs, whether I'm going to stay in academia or go down like the government job route, etc., all the different options. And I think I just haven't had the moment to just like pause, process, and figure out what I want for my future because I've kind of been on 100 and on the go for so long. I will include a little time-lapse video of my vision boarding process, but really, I started it off with a meditation. This meditation was so helpful for just like grounding myself and reflecting on things from the past, things from the current moment, and also just like what do I want from my future. So my friend Gia shared a meditation that she had learned through a workshop her job gave, and the workshop was led by Justin Michael Williams, who does meditations. He has a book called Stay Woke, a meditation guide for the rest of us. I haven't read the book, but based on this meditation, if it's something that you'd be interested in, I'll include the link in the description box below. So this is what the meditation says. It says, and I can put it in the description box as well. It says, imagine with any of your senses. It's okay if you only have a portion of it. Don't worry about it being unrealistic. If you don't think beyond your current circumstances, you can't get beyond them. See if you can imagine yourself living the life of your dreams. Is there anyone with you? How does it feel? Are you indoors? Are you outdoors? Whatever you are, try to push it to make it even bigger, even more of your dream. Take in everything that you are doing that helps you know you're living the life of your dreams. In addition, go through all the senses, so not just envisioning, but thinking about the smells associated with those future dreams. Think about the feeling, the touch, all the different senses. Work your way through all of them. And then, what energy do you need to cultivate in your life now, today, to become the person that you're seeing in your vision? What energy is separating you, and what do you need to cultivate? So I kind of just like sat with this meditation and just closed my eyes and thought through what that future would look like for me, and I kind of let my thoughts flow rather than trying to control them. Side note, today has been such a great day. I had just a great sermon through my Zoom church, and my best friend joined, Gia. Okay, at this point y'all know who Gia is. Gia joined the Zoom call too, and then we had a FaceTime after to just like talk about the sermon a little bit more. And the sermon was discussing kind of like in this moment of change, where our whole life like structure and the things that we're accustomed to have potentially been flipped around. What are we learning from this experience, and like what shifts do we have to make right now in order to bring the good from this situation forward, or the things that we're learning with us forward, rather than slipping back into old habits. So kind of like going off of that sermon and then going into this meditation was like the perfect flow for me. So that's the meditation. And then I kind of added on like a little, and I'm not gonna share the details of it, but like a little thing of like, okay, you can't see it. I took a piece of paper and I divided it into past, present, and future. And I started with the future because I had just come out of the meditation, so it was easy to start with there. And just kind of made a bullet list of the things that I saw or felt, or all those senses that came forward while I was doing that. Then I did the present moment, like what are things I have in this present moment, things that I'm proud of, things that I've learned, etc. And then similarly with my past, what are things that I've learned from my past that I want to bring forward with me into the future? And so some things I wrote was like speaking up for myself, creating boundaries, loving fully, all of these things from my past that I would want to bring forward with me. And I think it's important that we don't end up like ruminating on the past and things that went bad, because the whole point of vision boarding is kind of imagining the future that you want. So after I did that little process, then I got to the actual process of vision boarding, and I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. Let me show you. This is my vision board, and I'll include a little like photo / video that's better than me circling the vision board around in front of my camera. And yes, I used a shopping bag. As you know, we are sheltering / social distancing, so a lot of stores weren't open. So I just repurposed this Bed Bath & Beyond bag and folded it over into itself so that I'd have extra thickness. But I think for me, I found that I ended up kind of like, when I let my mind just flow in whatever way it wanted to during the meditation, it ended up kind of like 3 compartmentalizations. And I don't know if I compartmentalized after the meditation or during, but it kind of ended up being like a family home life, like work life, and then like personal growth. And so I think that's kind of how I ended up dividing the vision board. And so I kind of have like, what in the next 5 years do I want like my living space to be like, and what are my goals there? And I do think at this point, like, I'd hope that within the next 5 years I can become a homeowner. I think that's something that's super important for me. Like, our family doesn't really have generational wealth. I'm like a first-gen American, and so I think it's always been kind of a value for me to think through what it would mean to continue generational wealth forward in my family, as well as have the means to support my family now. And then this side, of course, there's Rihanna and Janelle, kind of has more of like the work life I see for myself. And I don't know if I necessarily worked through like whether or not I still want to stay in academia or go down a different route in this process, even though it's what, like, when I initially thought about vision boarding, I was hoping to work through. Obviously, you can't work through planning your whole future in like an hour or 2, so having grace with yourself in that way. But I do think major themes came up of like maintaining creativity, maintaining originality, and not losing myself in whatever space I end up going into. I think with every new transition I've made, I kind of feel like I've taken steps back. Like I'd work all this way to getting my voice, feeling sense of like security and confidence and all of these things, and then once I move into a new space of academia, at least because that's the only trajectory I've been on, then I kind of like take steps back, and I'm like concerned about what my bosses or advisors and things like that would think about me, or like how I dress in those spaces, how it would be perceived. Then I go through a process again of unlearning those things and gaining back that confidence. And so I think it concerns me that like that happened already with my undergrad, master's, and then PhD program, and that it might happen again in this next stage. And so I'm trying to think through like, what would it mean for me to more securely rest in the power that I have, and the confidence I have, and just kind of not have that waver in different environments, in different situations, etc. And so I think when I thought about my future career, it was really around like a space where I not only enjoy the people I work with, but where I enjoy the version of myself that I can be in that space, and that version of myself is one that is authentic to me. And some of the things I put on like the personal growth, one of the questions is, what's the most badass thing you've ever done? Another quote I put is, what I create has the potential to shape the world, to change the narrative, to be more inclusive. And that's one of the reasons I put Janelle Monáe on here, and Rihanna, because those are two people I think have presented themselves in an authentic way and in a way that's very unapologetic. And I think those are qualities that I admire, and I'd hope to present to the world on my own as well. And then in the living spaces, I also put kind of like family album and like pictures of people gathering and things like that. I mean, from undergrad living in dorms to now in an apartment, I think I haven't felt that any apartment or space has been a home. It's all kind of felt transitional or temporary. So I'd hope that whatever next phase I go into, I can create a home out of the space that I have, and that creating a home would be bringing people together in community and bringing people I love together in community. So yeah, that is my vision boarding process. I think the meditation was useful for me because I've always thought of vision boarding as just like envisioning your future as like a sense of vision sensory thing, or just like imagining visually what your future can be like. And I noticed the power that that has for me in particular. Like, even when I work out, if there's a period where I'm kind of feeling tired in the workout, I'd usually just pause for a breath and just imagine myself completing those reps. So let's say I'm on rep 3, I'll like count in my head and pretend in my head that I'm like doing it, and then I'd go do it. Going through the process in my head helps me to kind of believe in myself and my capability of achieving that. And so that's kind of what I see this vision boarding process is as broadly. The more that we spend time imagining the future that we want, the more that we see it as being a reality, the more that we can fine-tune certain aspects of it, and it seems less and less as like a vague, distant object. I think that allows us to get closer to creating the future that we want. And also important to note that in an era of like releasing control as well and flexibility, so I'd hope that this process also isn't restrictive and that you end up having like a checklist of things that you need to get done for your future. And so for me, I think I kind of strayed away from that and kind of got to like bigger themes. For me, it's kind of like, what do I want to feel from the life that I have? Like what sense do I want to feel about myself, about the spaces I inhabit, etc. And so that's kind of where my imagination flowed. And I did write down on the paper like joy, being around coworkers I love, being in a role of leadership, being able to express myself authentically, living a life I don't feel like is a chore, honoring my value and my power. So those are kind of like the qualities that I want out of the life I have, rather than a checklist of like, I need to have a 6-figure job, I need to do X, Y, and Z. But yeah, so this was a fun process, and I encourage you to do it as well. It doesn't have to be physical, it can be digital as well. I think for me, it helped that it was a physical vision board because it requires more time and thought, in my opinion, to like comb through magazines, look through words and photos and things like that. Think about what speaks to you, glue it and things like that. So it forces you to kind of sit with these thoughts a little bit more and flesh them out. So yeah, we have, I don't want to overgeneralize, but we might have some extra time on our hands. And the fact that everyone has kind of been forced to slow down a little bit, might be a little bit of encouragement for you to also slow down and just process and think through, what do we want from our lives moving forward. So yeah, drop some comments below. Let me know if you've done vision boarding before, what your thoughts are, if you have meditations on thinking about the future that you'd like to share as well. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, with that said, be loyal.